Hi, everyone. My name's Tony Gwen. We'll begin in probably another minute or so. Just wanted to see if there might be a couple more people who will be joining in. In the meantime, if there is closed captioning that you need, I will paste the link into the chat box here. And then if you have any questions that you would like to email after this session, please feel free to email me at the email I just shared into the chat box as well. And I will try to find the answer for you as quickly as possible. Okay. So let's go ahead and begin. And what I would like to do is to share my desktop. If you have any questions following this session or have any questions during the session, please feel free to ask in the chat box, and I will try to answer as quickly as possible for you. This is the NNLM website, and you can go to that by visiting nnlm.gov. And I'm going to go into the Southeastern Atlantic Region's website. And as you see on our first page here, our application deadline has extended to April 26th. So if you haven't submitted your application yet, we are still looking for applications. One of the first things that I would like to share is under our funding drop-down, you should see the SEA Funding Toolkit. And what this should have is it should provide you a lot of guidance as you prepare for your application to us. So one thing that I will say is that you can schedule a consultation with me or one of the coordinators, and we will be glad to schedule a time to chat with you and walk you through the proposal or answer any questions you have specifically related to your project that you would like to apply for. We've also provided for you here a number of different terms that will help you out as you plan your project. So please keep that in mind. As you are project planning, what I do tend to recommend is to look at some of the projects that we have funded in the past and also look at some of the recently funded projects to see to get you some ideas to determine what it is that you would like to work on as a project. So if you go through this website here, you'll be able to see projects. Here's an example of providing access to health information in rural communities utilizing the Little Free Libraries, for instance. So this is one particular way to get ideas for projects that you can do in your own institution. So the next thing that I would recommend is to look at all of the different projects that we have currently available. So if you go to this page, you'll see that we have awards related to exhibiting. We have awards related to health information outreach, professional development, library projects that you may have, technology improvement, and research data management this year. We do intend to offer more project awards, but that may come a little later in the fiscal year for NNLM. The NNLM fiscal year runs from May 1st, 2020 until April 30th of the following year. So that's something to keep in mind as you are working on your projects. So as you are developing your project, we've shared a number of different resources that will help you out, from health statistics, community assessment, partnerships, thinking of developing partnerships with maybe your local public health office or any number of different organizations. And then other materials and resources that you can integrate within your proposal, as well as the evaluation. If you are a first-time proposal writer, one thing that I think is important is understanding the budget. So here we've outlined some of the basic allowable costs for you. And then for many people, creating a budget table and budget justification is pretty difficult their first time out. So what I've done here is provide for you an example budget table that you can see, and then you can see what we're looking for when we're asking for a budget justification. I'm not looking for something that says travel $5,000. I'd like to know more detail. Are you staying at a hotel? What are the estimates of that hotel? Is there a per diem rate that you're utilizing? Are you calculating mileage? What exactly are you referring to when you're saying, I'd like $5,000 for travel? So this gives you an idea of like how you can lay out your budget justification here. Additionally, we have some guidance related to funding for promotional items, as well as development of training materials. There is a new process that we have for submitting an application via NNLM, and this talks about the how to apply, the system requirements, and we provide for you here a video overview. So you can follow along after this webinar by watching this particular video just to help refresh you with working on your proposal. If you are part of an academic institution or a hospital, or you're at a library who works with a greater institution, like a university, for example, I strongly encourage you to reach out to your sponsored programs office so that they can provide you some additional guidance. I will say that many individual departments, like a library at an academic institution, may apply, but there will be issues with your sponsored programs office discovering that you've received funding for a project award after the fact. So do keep that in mind as you are planning out your particular project. So I have here in the next tab a number of different frequently asked questions that we receive over the past few years related to funding. So please take a moment to review that. And we've added a couple of notes related to some of the changes due to COVID-19. So while our funding period is from May 1st through April 30th of the following year, you may want to plan for your project to begin on June 1st, for example, mostly because we've extended the deadline for applications to be April 26th. So we will need, with our peer reviewers, some time to review those applications. So that is something that if you haven't submitted your application yet, that's something that you should keep in mind. So here we'll talk about some of the paperwork that may be required of you and how funds are dispersed. If you haven't done so yet, one thing that I would recommend is to participate in the NNLM Grants and Proposal Writing course. You can actually do that course on demand through our Moodle Learning Management System. And that is free to take, and I believe after completing the on-demand course, you will receive 4 Medical Library Association continuing education credits that could also be utilized for consumer health information specialization. If you don't want to take that class, there are a number of other writing tips and tutorials that are available for you that you can access, as well as some additional resources that you can utilize as well. Beyond the NNLM, if you are looking for projects or ways to fund a particular project that you have, there are a list of different government agencies that you can access to apply for funding or see what they may have available to fund. And you can also subscribe to various different listservs so that you can learn of what new projects are available for you to apply. So with the new application process, I will go into an example here. So let's say we are interested in applying for a $2,000 award to exhibit at a local health fair, for instance. So here you'll see the description of the award, and then you'll also see a breakdown on the right-hand side that you can jump to quickly to apply or learn more. So I will just jump straight to the Apply Now section. And it's at the very bottom of this screen here, but you'll see that it is related specifically to the Southeastern Atlantic region. It's under an exhibit project category. And there are, the first 4 items are required pieces of information. So the first thing I will do is I would click in and see the select a value for the lead organization. It is a drop-down box, and that is because you must have an account with NNLM, and your account must be tied to a particular network member organization. So if I scroll down here, I will see that my profile here, and I will go to edit my profile, and I'm going to click on Red Hen Contact here on the screen, and I will scroll down to where it has organization, and I've noticed that my organization is blank. I'm affiliated with the University of Maryland, and I will apply as part of University of Maryland in this instance. So here you'll see a lot of different options tied to the University of Maryland, and I'm with the Health Sciences and Human Services Library. So I will go ahead and select that, and the unique number is 15501, and I will scroll down here and click Save Contact. So the contact information is saved, and this is something that you yourself can do. What you might also want to do is to double check to see before you even go into your own account is to see if your network member, if your organization is in our directory. To do that, you'll just go into Members and Directory, and you can type in the name of your organization. So again, I will type in University of Maryland, and I can see the Health Sciences Human Services Library here. So knowing that it's in here makes it a little easier for me to just jump straight into that. So let's go back into the exhibitor award itself now. So now when I go to the application part here, I will see lead organization, and since I'm already signed in, I have the option now of the University of Maryland, Baltimore as part of my dropdown. Then I should see here under project lead, my name as an option as well now. You do need to put in your tax ID number as well as your DUNS number. And again, if you are working with your sponsored programs office, they may have specific guidelines that they would like you to follow. They themselves might say, we have to submit your application for you after you've written it, or they might say, here's the information, you can go ahead and enter that information into that system. Since this is just an example, I'm not going to enter the University of Maryland, Baltimore's exact tax ID number as well as their DUNS number. But I'm just going to walk you through each of the different sections here. You will have to answer this question of, have you or your institution received NNLM funding in the grant cycle of 2016 to 2021? And they have. So since this is an exhibitor award, I will say that I am going to request the maximum amount of $2,000. So here, you will then have your project title and a project summary. So I will say that the University of Maryland, Baltimore is going to exhibit at Baltimore Healthy People 2021 as a community health fair. And I'll just say exhibit at the Baltimore Healthy People 2021 Community Health Fair. Now, normally, you would have more information that you would share in this particular thing, but as an example, I am just going to go fairly quickly in this particular example. It's possible that you might say that I'm going to partner with a particular organization. So we can say that the University of Maryland will be partnering with the local public library, for instance, and I think that would be Enoch Pratt. So we can type that in and see if that comes up. They do, and that was the Central Library. So I will go ahead and select that as an option. Now, if you do have a partner in mind already, but you type that in and you don't see that, you can click here and add the partner in as already in here. So that is something that you can do if you don't identify your own partner that you already established. You will answer in the next question, is training provided as part of this award? Since this is an exhibit, the answer for this is no. The proposed start and end date for this project, so I said that this was going to happen in 2021. So I will say that it happens in the first week of March from checking out the dates and confirming those. So, and then here is where you will enter your evidence of need, your project goals and objectives, your implementation, the timeline that you may have, your evaluation, publicity and promotion, sustainability plan, and any personnel qualifications you may have. So since this is just a proposal, I'm just going to put this in, but you would fill this out in more detail as much as possible. So here's where you put in your budget. So if I wanted to here, I would put in the budget. So you can put in $500 for equipment, $250 for staffing, for instance, and we'll put in $250 was for printing costs, and that brings us to about $1,000, and then the other $1,000 is related to the exhibit setup fees, for instance. So here is where you will justify this. Personnel costs for the day of the exhibit, $500 for, I'll say, a Surface tablet. Normally, you would go into even more detail by providing the make and model of the tablet that you had identified, and you would actually use actual costs versus the estimated costs I am using for this particular example. $250, I will say, would be for printing costs, and then $1,000 would be for exhibitor registration fees. And that, again, is all just an example here to help start this out for you. So the next page, you would say, who is the major demographic that would be attending or participating in this particular project? If you're doing outreach for a health information outreach, who are the people that you are intending to work with, okay? So in this example, at a health fair, I assume that there will be adults, children, and teens at the event, hopefully. And then you can put in that the participants, they will generally be at a health fair, the general public. So you would go ahead and mark that as well. So then, if there are any file attachments that you would like to share, if they had with the health fair a prospectus even, you can upload that, for instance. That is just something to keep in mind then. And then here, you would have to agree to these 3 particular statements, but you have then at the end 3 particular options. 1 is to go back to parts of the proposal. 2 is to save a draft. And if you save a draft, you will receive an email that you can go back to and access the proposal, or you can send it to the RML for review. So if you say send to the RML office for review, what we'll do is we will get notice that you've submitted the application, and we can go back and look at the application and decide. It'll go through a peer review process then. After the peer review process, we may have additional questions that we will ask you, or it may be approved. And then there will be some paperwork that you may have to do before you can even begin your project. But at this moment in time, I will select Save Draft. So what should happen is that when you save your draft, you will see this here. What you will want to do is to go and check your email then. You may also find the need to check your junk mail or spam folder because you should receive an email from us with the link to the project then. So let me see if I can find that particular email here. So the account is from my Gmail that I used. So here you'll see that, and you should double check both your spam folder or your regular inbox should receive this. But here is where you can go back and edit your application later on. So that is something that will help you out as you are working on your application, that if you have to save it because you need to look up some information or you need to make some edits later, like the tax ID number, the DUNS number, etc., you can certainly do so. Do look for that email if you are saving it to come back to it later. And that is your brief overview to applying for a particular award. I will go ahead and look at the chat box, so answer any particular questions you may have related to applying for a project award then. And I'll go ahead and wait to see if anyone has any questions. I see something from Emily. Is there a question that you may have related to the award? Oh, your projects could fall into several of the categories. Do you have any advice on how to choose a category when you may have several different possible projects to apply? what I would recommend is possibly a one-on-one consultation with a coordinator or I. You can talk about what it is then of what will you need to do specifically to complete your project. If it's a project where really all you need to do is purchase some computer equipment and a 3D printer to do the project, but you're going to do outreach to help people with knowing how to do 3D printing of particular items, then I would say that it really is a technology improvement award. If you are going to partner with public libraries in the rural area so that they can be comfortable in providing health information outreach, then you can apply for a health information outreach award. Or if you yourself were going to teach classes to the public, that could also be a health information outreach award. If you are going to do something more internally to, say, help with developing an evidence-based nursing digital literacy course, then that would be more of a medical library project award because you're benefiting the institution within itself directly more so than the public. So does that help a little bit? Another option that is out there is with the Research Data Management Project Award, and I should go into funding project awards, I'm sorry. With the Research Data Management Project Award, just keeping in mind when you're looking at the funding opportunities, we do give some ideas of projects, ideas that we would recommend or would be okay and open with you submitting an application for. So under potential projects here, you'll see that we've listed possible train-the-trainer options, hosting library carpentry or data carpentry at your own institution, hosting a symposium, integrating data literacy into your health sciences curricula, developing a data catalog at your institution, for instance. And those are just starter ideas, really. If you have a better idea, we would be open to that. We just need to help you with starting out with some possible ideas. So that would be something that I would consider then. It's just looking at some of the potential projects, and if none of them fit and you think that you have a more interesting idea, you can certainly apply for that. I think someone had applied for a library project idea was to develop a resource guide related to mobile health apps and evaluating mobile health apps and providing some suggestions for both medical school students and nurses with some recommended apps to help them as they start their career, for instance. So that was one other possible project idea that's not listed anywhere. And that's why I also recommend looking at some of the recently funded projects as well as past funded projects just to get some more ideas as well. Are there any additional questions you may have? Okay. I will hang online for a few minutes longer, but I don't have anything additional to share with everyone. I will put into the chat my email address in case you'd like to message me later. I would be happy to respond as quickly as possible. Hopefully the guide will help you out as well. But if you have any questions, feel free to schedule a consultation. You can also send me an email, and I will be happy to answer your question as quickly as possible. So thanks, everyone. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing everyone's applications soon.